was reborn one day before the apocalypse, yet I threw away all my supplies and removed every anti-theft window at home. Everyone thought I had gone mad. They mocked me, saying I wouldn't survive 2.5 days. I merely smiled in disdain. I went to mix a bingcheng and leisurely drank milk tea, because 3 hours later, countless cards would fall from the sky. By then, all food, water, and various supplies would lose their original effect. To survive the apocalypse, one could only rely on supplies obtained from cards, as well as various talents and skills. And after the card rain, a blood rain would soon follow. The apocalypse would officially begin. It was already midnight. The streets were almost empty when a huge bell rang. A massive beam of light cut through the darkness, like the blazing sun shining over the earth. Then countless cards fell like a torrential rain. The cards had different colors: white, green, blue, silver, and gold. Nearby residents were awakened by the intense light. They walked out of their homes one after another, looking at the sky in confusion. Meanwhile, I frantically collected cards, not being picky at all. No matter what color the cards were, I stuffed them all into my backpack. These were extremely important resources in the early apocalypse, able to greatly increase my survival rate. Suddenly, my pupils shrank. Amid the falling rain of cards, 2 cards shimmered with multicolored light, slowly falling ahead of me. I rushed forward at once. With a flying dive, I firmly grabbed the rainbow cards. Holy crap! Rainbow legendary cards. I hit the jackpot this time. An hour later, the card rain finally stopped. I had filled 13 bags with cards. The cards on several nearby streets were basically all taken by me. A rough estimate put them at over 10,000. At this point, more and more people started going out to pick up cards. To avoid attracting attention, I drove away from the pedestrian street and headed to a hotel I had booked in advance. In the room, I took out 2 rainbow cards and silently thought, talent skill. As I flipped one of them over, the card immediately emitted golden light. Talent card, super recovery body. It allowed wounds to heal themselves in an extremely short time. Seeing this, the corners of my mouth rose wildly. It really was a talent card, and an invincible talent at that. In my previous life, my community had once been attacked by someone with the super recovery body talent. We were nearly wiped out. Only after paying the painful price of hundreds of lives did we finally kill the super recovery body holder. Immediately, I tore the rainbow card apart without hesitation. A surge of heat instantly spread through my body. Every part of me was filled with power. Then I flipped over the second card. After reading the words, I was instantly speechless. Item, safe house. Covers 200 square meters. It has an absolute defense barrier, able to withstand a nuclear strike. Although the safe house had extremely strong defense, it had one huge drawback. It could not be moved. Right now, I had no plans to settle down, so I couldn't use it for now. After putting away the safe house card, I took out 10 gold cards. I had to admit, these gold cards were high quality. Both Super Stamina and Perfect Hunter were top talents among gold cards. They were extremely useful in the early apocalypse. As for Black Blade, Gold Cleaver, and the sturdy Mini RV, no explanation was needed. One strengthened attack ability, while the other provided mobility. They were practically perfect. After learning the 4 gold talents, I slowly fell asleep. At 8 in the morning, the clear sky suddenly turned black. Thousands upon thousands of blood-red raindrops fell from the sky. Countless bloody humanoid creatures rushed out from the blood rain, pouncing on nearby people and biting madly. Instantly, screams rang throughout the entire city. I stood by the window calmly. This scene was not even an appetizer to me, someone who had lived 5 years in the apocalypse. But just as I was about to sort through the cards, the room door was suddenly smashed open. A young woman fell inside, with 3 blood corpses following behind her. The young woman screamed and reached out, "Save me." Seeing this, I immediately charged forward. Bang, bang, bang. 3 punches finished the blood corpses. The young woman was stunned. She watched helplessly as the 3 blood corpses fell. Looking at the woman before me, I was slightly stunned. Liu Ryan? Liu Ryan froze. "You know me," I smiled. "Who doesn't know such a big star?" Liu Ryan blushed. A little guilty, she said, "What big star? I'm not even an 18th tier celebrity. In my previous life, half a month after the apocalypse began, I met Liu Ryan. It was because of this woman's help that I barely survived. Later, the survivor gathering point we were in was breached by a corpse tide. From then on, I never saw her again. Strictly speaking, Liu Ryan had once saved my life. She was also one of the few good people in the apocalypse. I looked at Liu Ryan playfully. "I happen to need someone here. Do you want to join me?" Liu Ryan barely hesitated. The outside world was complicated now, and there were monsters. This man had just killed those monsters with 1 punch each. He should be very strong. Being with him was clearly safer. Thinking this, Liu Ryan decisively nodded and agreed. Near noon, On the originally quiet street, a team of humans suddenly appeared. Each of them carried a weapon. The blood corpses nearby noticed human activity and immediately roared as they rushed over. However, this team's combat strength was not ordinary. Dozens of blood corpses were cut to pieces before they could even get close. So amazing! Liu Ryan watched from the window and couldn't help shouting, "Help!" My brows twitched. By then, it was already too late to do anything, because the entire team's gaze had already turned toward us. 2 minutes later, inside the hotel lobby, Joe-Wen looked at Liu Ryan. His eyes burned with passion. "Miss Liu, I'm your loyal fan. I never expected heaven to be so kind as to let me meet you here." Liu Ryan politely replied, "Hello, where are you going?" "To hunt blood corpses, of course." "Miss Liu, do you want to join us? We're very strong." Hearing this, Liu Ryan was confused. Shouldn't we find a safe place and hide right now? Why provoke those monsters on purpose? Joe-Wen smiled. Those blood corpses have cards inside them. If we're lucky and get a blue skill card, our chances of survival will rise a lot. The muscular me directly interrupted and refused. "No need. We can protect ourselves. Let's go. We're going back." But Joe-Wen looked at me with a wicked smile. "Brother, don't leave in such a hurry. How many cards did you get last night? Any blue or silver ones?" I turned around. "As for cards, I do have a few." As I spoke, I took out over a dozen silver cards. Greed instantly filled everyone's eyes. Joe-Wen swallowed and gave the people behind him a look. Then his expression changed. "Isn't it a waste for one person to hold so many cards? Why not let us keep them for you?" Only then did Ryan react. She hurriedly said, "We can keep them ourselves. Miss Liu, I advise you to hand them over obediently. It would be a shame if that pretty face got ruined." At this, I smirked. "Do you want to guess why I keep these silver cards on me instead of using them myself?" Hearing that, Joe-Wen stiffened. "What do you mean?" I clenched my fist. "I mean, you're all going to die." "Ha, kid, have you lost your mind? There are so many of us." Before Joe-Wen finished, his vision went black. Then he completely lost consciousness. Everyone was stunned. The young man before them used only one punch to smash Joe-Wen's head apart. Joe-Wen had a silver talent. How could he just die like that? He didn't even have a chance to fight back. What they didn't know was that I had lived in the apocalypse for 5 full years. My combat skills were master level. Not to mention I had several top talents on me. Even without them, killing them instantly would be as easy as drinking water. I took out a gold card and tore it. "Now it's your turn." Perfect timing to test if this blade is sharp. The next second, a murderous black blade appeared in my hand. Gold card weapon, black blade, gold cleaver. This scene made everyone panic. They hurriedly spoke. "Wait, boss. We'll leave right away." I ignored them. I swung black blade, gold cleaver, and charged into the crowd. In just 2.5 minutes, every member of the team was dead. Looking at the bodies scattered everywhere, Liu Ryan couldn't hold back. She knelt on the ground and vomited heavily. She never dreamed that this man, who looked refined and gentle, could be so ruthless. "After you finish vomiting, search the bodies. Bring me the cards." After saying this, I sheathed the blade and went upstairs without looking back, leaving Liu Ryan alone in the lobby, crying and vomiting. Over 10 minutes later, Liu Ryan came to me with dozens of cards. "I'm sorry, I won't speak out of turn again." I waved my hand. I had no intention of blaming her. After all, the apocalypse had only just begun. It was understandable if she couldn't adapt quickly, but you must constantly remind yourself that this is the apocalypse. There are no legal restraints. The evil in humanity will be fully unleashed. A beauty at your level, if you fall into the hands of those men, your fate will be miserable beyond words. But Liu Ryan foolishly said, "Even in the apocalypse, there are good people." Hearing this, I laughed like a chicken. "You're right, but you won't meet them." Over the next few hours, some more human teams passed by downstairs, some large and some small. Having learned from what happened before, Liu Ryan wisely learned to keep quiet. At dusk, the wind carried the roars of blood corpses from afar. "It's getting dark. It's time to go out and stretch a bit." After saying that, I tossed 5 silver cards to Liu Ryan. Liu Ryan flipped them over one by one and found that all 5 cards were aura skills. Seeing this, she immediately felt helpless. "Are you planning to train me into a tool?" Although Liu Ryan was somewhat naive, that didn't stop her from being smart. Not being smart meant one couldn't survive in the mixed entertainment industry. I smiled. "You don't understand. Supports are permanent, carries come and go. A tool is great. Not only can they greatly buff those around them, they also have some self-protection ability. If you get captured by another team, they won't bear to kill you either." Liu Ryan nodded and began learning them one by one. After that, we moved over a dozen backpacks to the hotel entrance. Then I tore the RV gold card and tossed it forward. A medium-sized RV appeared at once. Gold card, sturdy mini RV. The RV's lights were bright. Liu Ryan drank coffee and enjoyed the air conditioning, calmly continuing to sort the cards. Dinner was placed by her hand. Blue card, homemade steamed hairy crabs, and blue card, a basin of spicy crayfish. At this moment, Liu Ryan came to the passenger seat and asked, "Where are we going?" In my opinion, we have enough cards to last a year or two. There's no need to take risks anymore. Finding a place to hide is the right way. I shook my head. To survive long-term in the apocalypse, you must actively gather supplies and arm yourself as much as possible. Hiding without strength only makes you someone else's warehouse. Hearing this, Liu Ryan asked in confusion, "Then why choose nighttime?" I smiled calmly. Because blood corpses are more violent at night, and the cards they drop are higher quality. Also, a new monster appears at night, night demons. They are fast, strong, and highly defensive. Aside from being blind, basically all their other stats are maxed out. After hearing the description of night demons, Liu Ryan grew timid. Since night demons are so terrifying, shouldn't we avoid provoking them? I shook my head. The rougher the waves, the pricier the fish. Killing a night demon drops at least a silver card. If you're lucky, it can even drop gold or rainbow cards. 10 minutes later, I parked the RV at the entrance of a residential complex. In the open space ahead of us, dozens of blood corpses were frantically gnawing on bodies. Among them, one massive figure stood out. It looked 2 or 3 meters tall, weighing over 500 jin. Liu Ryan covered her mouth. Her eyes widened bigger than basketballs. She was clearly badly frightened. I turned off the headlights and pulled out the key, then walked down holding black blade, gold cleaver in one hand. As I approached, the blood corpses seemed to smell me. They immediately abandoned their feast and charged at me with roars. Calmly, I swung my blade sideways. Several blood corpses were instantly cut into pieces. With another slash, several more were killed. Those dozens of blood corpses never even touched my clothes before they were all cut down. At this time, the night demon growled and slowly turned to face him. Compared with blood corpses, it had some intelligence. Its instincts told it this human was strong and needed to be handled carefully. I shook the blood off the black blade and charged forward. The night demon also leaped. Its 7 or 8 meter tall body was like a small hill rolling toward me. Its 2-foot long sharp claws swung wildly. I slid under the night demon and thrust black blade, gold cleaver into its abdomen. There was no suspense. I pierced through the night demon's body. Blood sprayed everywhere and it fell to the ground, but it did not die. Instead, it struggled wildly on the ground. I slashed at the night demon's head, sending it off directly. After checking the loot, the white, green, and blue cards totaled 15, and there were 3 silver cards from the night demon. At this time, Liu Ryan also ran to the nearby human corpses and started searching them. Perhaps because she had seen too many corpses in one day, Liu Ryan's tolerance for disgust was refreshed. Besides feeling nauseous at first, she gradually got used to the smell. I had to admit, the way Liu Ryan bent over and searched carefully made me, a young man in my prime, feel a bit restless. After collecting the cards, I drove the RV onward again. Over 10 minutes later, I suddenly slammed the brakes. Liu Ryan realized something must have happened and rushed over. Through the car window, she saw a scene she would never forget. Several hundred meters ahead, there was a 5 or 6 meter tall, bloody giant heart beating constantly. Round that disgusting heart wandered over 100 aimless blood corpses. Liu Ryan hurriedly covered her mouth, her eyes filled with fear and shock. "What is that?" But I laughed out loud. "A blood nest about to mutate. Our password to wealth." Liu Ryan froze. "How are you planning to deal with that thing? No rush. It isn't time yet." After saying that, I turned off all the lights inside and outside the vehicle, then sat in the driver's seat, observing that giant blood nest from afar. Originally, my plan was to drive eastward to the neighboring Hiang to find an old acquaintance while hunting night demons and clearing a few small blood nests. Unfortunately, plans couldn't keep up with changes. I never expected that upon reaching an intersection, I would discover a giant blood nest about to evolve. Naturally, I couldn't bear to leave. One had to know that after a blood nest evolved, its card drop rate was over 10 times higher than ordinary blood nests and night demons. But the only problem now was that I didn't know how long I had to wait for the blood nest to evolve. 2.5 hours passed without me noticing. Those originally sluggish blood corpses suddenly seemed to discover something and charged roaring toward the right side of the intersection. The next second, a dense burst of gunfire rang out. A human team appeared at the end of the street. They were all between 20 and 30 years old, uniformly dressed in blue combat suits, and holding firearms. I took out military binoculars and observed carefully. Unexpectedly, I knew the leader. His name was Wang Feng. In my previous life, he formed a relatively powerful team. Because of fighting over cards, he had intense conflicts with the community I belonged to. To some extent, he counted as an enemy, but I didn't expect to meet him here. It seemed that my rebirth had caused a chain reaction. At this time, Liu Ryan whispered, "That blood nest. Is it going to be stolen?" I lowered the binoculars and shook my head. "It won't be that easy. With humanity's current level of enhancement, it's hard to damage a high-level blood nest, especially one about to evolve into a black nest like this. Attacking rashly will only make them die horribly. But Wang Feng, who knew nothing, looked excited. He swaggered up to the blood nest with a rifle on his shoulder. We need to conserve bullets. Let's use this. After saying that, he took out a bundle of Molotov cards. Then the team members placed over 100 Molotovs around the giant blood nest. After keeping a safe distance from the blood nest, one of them fired a shot at the Molotovs. With a boom, the Molotovs exploded into a huge fireball, instantly swallowing the giant blood nest. The giant blood nest under attack suddenly let out a piercing scream after the sound stopped. One team member went forward to check. He found the blood nest was completely unharmed. Wang Feng immediately started cursing. This thing's skin is actually this. Just then, one team member's face suddenly changed. So many blood zombies. We're surrounded. No sooner had he spoken than the once quiet crossroads poured out thousands of blood zombies. The blood zombies heard the bloody screams, and like a swarm of loyal creatures rushing to aid their own, they charged madly toward the police. Wang Feng shouted, "Follow me and break out." With that, he tore open a silver card, brandished the katana that appeared in his hand, and hacked fiercely toward the zombie horde. Watching all this, I did not know whether to laugh or cry. A crossroads has 4 roads. Could you not break out any other way? Why did you have to charge toward me? Liu Ryan said anxiously. They seem to have spotted us. Calmly, I gave one instruction. Hide all the cards. Get ready to receive guests. Soon, Wang Feng and the others were pounding wildly on the RV. I told Liu Ryan to open the door. Once several of them scrambled in, gasping for breath, I immediately shifted into reverse and drove off in the opposite direction. 10 minutes later, we successfully shook off the horde. I pulled over by the roadside, intending to let Wang Feng's group get out. A sinister glint flashed in Wang Feng's eyes. Kid, thanks for saving us. Why not see it through to the end? Give us this RV too. Liu Ryan was so angry her ample chest shook. How can you repay kindness with betrayal? Wang Feng sneered. It's the end of the world, and you're still trying to reason with me? Are you a child, so naive? Then one team member spoke up. Boss, this girl is really hot. Let's keep her. Wang Feng looked at me and laughed loudly. Since you saved us, I'll spare you. Now get lost. Thank you, boss, for sparing my life. As soon as I said that, I flashed forward with a military dagger and slit the throats of 2 team members. Wang Feng turned pale with shock. Before he could stand up, I reached back and a bullet blew Wang Feng's head apart. The remaining team members were so frightened they knelt and begged for mercy. I gave them no chance. I pulled the trigger and sent them to meet the King of Hell. In less than 10 seconds, the whole squad was wiped out. Then I drove the RV back to the crossroads. What met my eyes was a dense mass of over 1,000 blood zombies. I was certain all the blood zombies within 3 kilometers were here. I sighed. Looks like I'll have to spend big this time. Using drones, I first poured gasoline over the blood zombies. Then I carried Molotov cocktails above the horde. The moment the Molotovs fell into the zombie horde, the area below instantly became a sea of fire. Over 1,000 blood zombies were burned to ashes just like that. After wiping out the horde, I moved all the bodies out of the RV and threw them one by one beside the blood nest. Then I returned to the vehicle and watched. After roughly 2 minutes and 30 seconds, thick, thumb-sized tendrils, like blood vessels, burst out of the ground. They stabbed into the corpses and began absorbing them. A moment later, the huge blood nest suddenly trembled. An indescribably eerie aura spread out from within it. My face lit up with surprise. It's finally evolving. After a successful evolution, the blood nest would be absurdly strong. At present, no individual creature had the ability to take on a black core alone. But during its evolution, the blood nest would move all its energy to its core area. The rest of its body kept only weak power for defense. But to me, those defenses were no different from nothing. Right now was when the blood nest was at its weakest. I carried the black blade and walked straight toward the blood nest. With ease, I sliced open the shell and entered the blood nest. What met my eyes was a sphere suspended in midair, gradually changing color. The instant the heart turned completely black, I raised my blade and cut down the black star core. Then I quickly ran back to the RV. Inside the RV, Liu Ryan's face was full of curiosity. Is this the black star core? I nodded. I placed the black star core on the dining table. While taking a deep breath, I clasped my hands in prayer. Give me a few awesome cards. The black blade fell. The black star core instantly turned into a pile of ash and vanished. At the same time, a stack of cards appeared on the table. There were more than a dozen. I picked up the cards and checked them one by one. There were 16 cards in total. 8 silver cards, 6 gold cards, and 2 rainbow cards. Among the gold cards, apart from the item card and the biologist card being temporarily useless, the other 4 cards were all top tier, especially Danger Sense. It could further improve my survival rate and reduce the chance of being ambushed. After putting away the gold cards, I flipped over one of the rainbow cards. The description on it left me utterly stunned. Talent G Control. Grants the owner the ability to control spiritual energy. Requirement: open the 8 meridians. I was excited but also a little frustrated. This was absolutely a god-tier talent among rainbow cards. But the condition was a bit harsh. I could not learn it yet. The so-called 8 meridians referred to for gold talent cards. The Ren and Du meridians, the Chong and Dai meridians, the Yinwei and Yangwei meridians, and the Yinchao and Yankee Ao meridians. Right now, I only had 2. It seemed this talent could not be learned for now. After putting Chi Control away, I flipped over the second rainbow card. After seeing the contents of the rainbow card, I was once again stunned. Holy crap! The quality of this batch of cards was insane. Defense Gear Electronic Protective Bracelet. As long as it has power, you basically cannot die. I had seen someone use this electronic protective bracelet before. It needed silver battery cards to charge. Once fully charged, it could block 3 fatal attacks or several ordinary attacks. Seeing this, I could not wait to put the bracelet on my wrist. I took out 3 silver battery cards and fully charged it. Then I handed the pistol to Liu Ryan. Come on, shoot me in the forehead. Liu Ryan looked astonished. Isn't that a bad idea? Don't worry, I bought insurance. Seeing how certain I was, Liu Ryan gritted her teeth and pulled the trigger. With a bang, the instant the bullet got close to me, it was swallowed by a protective membrane. At the same time, the energy bar on the bracelet dropped by 1 segment. Because the pistol's recoil was too strong, Liu Ryan was knocked to the floor. I smiled. Looks like this kind of firearm doesn't suit you. Use a bow or crossbow instead. I took out 5 silver cards. One was a compound bow, and for related talent skills. Seeing this, Liu Ryan found it hard to believe. Are these all for me? I nodded. The monsters we run into later will only get stronger. Having a helper will make things easier. Besides, you've been helping me all along. You deserve these. Liu Ryan's face instantly flushed red. She thought she had done nothing except sort cards. But once she thought of joining the battle next, Liu Ryan was filled with joy. Thank you for trusting me. After saying that, she took the cards and began learning them one by one. Then, to celebrate the huge gains of the day, I directly tore open a silver card. Food, Hate Allow Deluxe Set. Liu Ryan drooled greedily. This is way too lavish. I'm definitely gaining a couple pounds. I could not help shaking my head. Are you even speaking like a human? Everyone else is worried about starving, yet you're worried about getting fat. But just as the two of us were eating heartily, someone suddenly knocked on the RV door. I glanced at the dashcam and frowned. At some point, dozens of people had gathered around. There were children, elderly people, and young ones. I slowly opened the RV door and stepped outside. The middle-aged man leading them saw me get out and said with a friendly smile, "Brother, we're all from the neighborhood across the street. There have been monsters outside these past few days, so we didn't dare go out. We've used up our food cards too. Could you give us some? Of course, we won't take them for free. All of us are willing to follow you." I could not help laughing out loud. Follow me? Follow me for what? What can you do? You don't even dare kill blood zombies. You want me to be your nanny? An old man stepped forward. Young man, you're not being virtuous. I'm already this old. How am I supposed to fight those monsters? We're trying to discuss this nicely. What's with your attitude? I shot back directly. What does your age have to do with me? You're begging and still acting so righteous. When they heard me call them beggars, several burly young men stepped forward. Brother, don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. If we get rough, you probably won't be able to handle it. I laughed hard. You really can brag. You don't dare kill blood zombies, but you dare rob people. Come on, try it and let me see. Hearing me say that, several of them roared angrily and charged straight at me. I did not waste words. I punched out directly. There was only a bang. One young man's body flew out like a sheet of paper. He landed 7 or 8 meters away and passed out on the spot. The whole group was instantly shaken by the sight. They subconsciously retreated several meters. I'm in a good mood today. I can't be bothered to argue with you. Keep shouting here and I'll kill you all and feed you to the dogs. Seeing this, the middle-aged leader shouted, "Don't panic, everyone. He's just pretending to be weak while hiding his strength. He wouldn't really dare kill anyone." Hearing that, my brow twitched. I took out my pistol and pointed it at the middle-aged man. You're the leader of this group, right? The middle-aged man stiffened his face. So what if I am? Don't think you can scare us with a toy gun. If you don't give us food and drink, you won't be leaving either. Worst case, we all go down together. I nodded. Then I pulled the trigger. Then go die. One bullet blew the middle-aged man's head apart. The remaining rabble were so scared they practically wet their diapers. In an instant, they scattered like frightened birds and beasts. I was too lazy to waste bullets on them. I turned around with a cold face and returned to the RV. The next morning, cards fell from the sky again, but the scale was much smaller. Even so, it brought survivors hope of staying alive. Many nearby residents cheered as they picked up cards. I had Liu Ryan stay behind to guard the RV. Meanwhile, I rode the ghost fire through the streets, sweeping up cards. The rain stopped after more than half an hour. The cards collected this time were rather poor. Apart from a few resource-type gold cards, the rest were all silver cards, blue cards, and green cards. So I planned to try my luck in the residential compound and see if I could trade for some high-quality cards. 2.5 minutes later, I arrived at the compound garden. To show my sincerity, I took the initiative to open my backpack, revealing the white cards inside. Then I shouted, I mean you no harm. I'm only here to trade. I have plenty of food and water cards. I want to trade them for green cards other than food, and for blue cards. If you have silver or gold cards, I'm willing to offer a higher rate. After shouting for a short while, people began walking carefully out of the stairwells. In the end, I traded over 1,000 white cards for more than 300 blue and green cards. But just as I was about to leave, a man's voice suddenly came from behind me. Rainbow card. Do you want it? I froze. You have a rainbow card? What's the card called? Wang Gui said in a low voice. Spatial ring, 10 cubic meters. I drew in a sharp breath. Good stuff. Want to talk in my vehicle? Wang Gui spoke faintly. Like a ghost. I've hidden the card. Killing me won't help you. I swear to heaven, I really had no such idea. Then I asked what he wanted to trade for it. Wang Gui wiped his tears. I don't want supplies. I only want you to help me kill 3 people. I frowned, realizing something was wrong. What happened? Wang Gui instantly broke down. My wife is dead. My son is dead too. They took turns violating my wife and strangled my son. I want them dead. As long as they die, the rainbow card is yours. Help me kill them. I know you can do it. Just then, 3 young men walked over and saw Wang Gui. Hu Daijin was full of mockery. Isn't this Brother Gui? Wang Gui roared, his eyes bloodshot. You killed my wife and son. Don't deny it. Someone saw you. Hu Daijin chuckled. Who said I was denying it? That's right. I killed them. What can you do to me? Beside him, Wang Zhisheng said with a grin, to be fair, your wife really was nice. Hearing that, Wang Gui was so furious he could barely speak. He lunged forward like a madman, but I grabbed him. At this moment, Hu Daijin's eyes were full of provocation as he stared straight at me. Kid, that chick in your vehicle is pretty good. My brothers and I have reserved her. Wang Zhisheng and Zhou Yun beside him laughed loudly, deliberately revealing the pistols at their waists. They were lucky and had picked up 3 silver pistol cards. That was the main reason they were so fearless. I gave a cold smile. 3 little monkeys, yet you dare run your mouths here. Hu Daijin decisively drew his gun. Die. But before he could pull the trigger, I shot his arm off. You're still too green to beat me at drawing a gun. Seeing this, Wang Zhisheng and Zhou Yun hurriedly fired at me. But the bullets that hit me all disappeared without a trace. I reached back, fired several shots at the 2 of them, and destroyed all their limbs. Then I handed the pistol to Wang Gui. You can avenge your wife and son yourself now. I fulfilled your request. Where is my item? Wang Gui took the pistol and said, behind the drain pipe on the 1st floor. After saying that, he walked toward the 3 men. I went to the place Wang Gui mentioned and found a rainbow card. It really was the spatial ring. I tore the card, took out the ring, and put it on. Then I rode the ghost fire back to the RV. A few hours later, blood rain fell from the sky again. Mixed into the rain were some blood nests. As soon as these blood nests landed, they immediately began reproducing. Large numbers of blood zombies rushed out to hunt for prey. I pulled Liu Ryan onto the roof of the RV. Come on, test your archery. Liu Ryan drew her bow and knocked an arrow. The arrow shot out with explosive force, piercing a blood zombie's head dead on. The motion was smooth and seamless. I was not idle either. I drew the black blade and began clearing the blood zombies charging ahead. Before long, the zombies around us had been completely wiped out. But just as we were about to pack up and continue on, Wang Gui suddenly ran over, holding a dying little boy. I frowned. What happened? Wang Gui said with a pained expression, his parents were bitten to death by monsters. He was bitten too. Can you save him? Then he took a pile of blue and green cards from his pocket. I have cards. If it's not enough, I'll get more for you. I did not hesitate and accepted Wang Gui's cards. Then I found a silver serum card on me. After the little boy was injected with the serum, I asked him curiously, how did you hold off the blood zombies? How many people are left in the compound? Wang Gui sighed. Probably only 30 or 40. I didn't count exactly. My brow rose. Are they all young people who dared to fight? Wang Gui was first stunned. Then he seemed to realize something, and his expression became excited. Yes, they're very brave. A few of them have even enhanced their talents. I chuckled. Don't get so excited yet. I was only asking casually. Wang Gui immediately looked somewhat disappointed. It's not safe at night. I'll take you back first. Ryan, make Brother Wang a cappuccino. A while later, I parked the RV at the compound entrance. At this time, the compound was covered in traces of battle. Bodies lay everywhere. I followed Wangui into the compound. With one glance, I saw that Wangui had not lied. More than half the people were dead. Only some young people remained. I sighed. I'll be leaving soon. What are your plans after this? Wangui looked anxious. Can you take us with you? If we stay here, monsters will kill us sooner or later. Only by following you do we have a chance to survive. The surrounding young people also showed pleading looks. That night, I drove the RV forward at a slow speed. Behind us was a bicycle convoy of more than 30 people, moving in a grand line. I equipped each of them with some weapon cards. Whenever we encountered blood zombies along the way, as long as it was not a large horde, I would stop and let them harvest the kills. After all, the more people we had, the more cards we would consume every day. The convoy traveled east for 2.5 hours. Just as we were about to enter the expressway section, Liu Ryan looked at a dark shadow flashing across the sky and frowned. Was it an illusion? Why do I feel like something is flying up there? I slammed on the brakes and stared seriously at Liu Ryan. What did you see? Liu Ryan described the creature she had seen. After hearing it, my scalp went numb. What day is this? Mutant demons are already appearing? Mutant demons were not scary. The scary part was wherever mutant demons appeared, a black blood nest must be nearby. Mutant demons were the sentries of black blood nests. I hurriedly shouted toward the back of the vehicle, "Something's wrong. Return the way we came." Just then, a piercing scream suddenly came from the distance. My heart jolted. We've been discovered. I quickly climbed onto the roof of the RV and began observing through my night vision talent. As soon as I looked up, I saw several mutant demons sweeping through the sky. I pulled out the Sten rifle card and fired wildly into the sky. With the marksman talent enhancing me, each mutant demon was headshot without exception. They fell straight into the nearby wheat field. Wangui heard the commotion and rushed over. "Boss, what happened?" I threw the rifle and some ammunition to Wangui. "Everyone, get ready. A battle is coming." No sooner had I spoken than we saw at the end of the road a dense mass of blood zombies charging toward us. Among the blood zombie horde, there were also several night fiends, seemingly their leaders. They followed behind the blood zombie horde unhurriedly. Holy crap! How are we supposed to fight this? Wangui used military binoculars to look at the scene ahead. Suddenly, a scream rang out. A man in the team was ambushed by a mutant demon. His head was separated from his body on the spot. They had only been watching the front. Ignoring the sky, there were still more than a dozen mutant demons in the air, eyeing us greedily. Wangui shouted, raised his gun, and began firing wildly in the team. Those equipped with offensive. The women also aimed at the sky, at those dark silhouettes. I looked at Liu Ryan beside me. Go help Wangui and the others. I'll handle the front. After saying that, I raised my rifle and fired wildly at the horde. A large group of blood zombies in front collapsed on the spot. But there were too many blood zombies. One rifle alone could not stop them. So from my spatial ring, I took out the grenades and explosives I had prepared. Then I threw them out with all my strength. A deafening roar shook the world. As flames erupted, hundreds of blood zombies were blown away. Behind us, with the help of the sharpshooter Liu Ryan, they quickly drove back the mutant demons trying to ambush them. Then they turned their guns forward and began firing wildly at the blood zombies. Just then, night demons in the zombie horde charged threw bullets and arrows straight toward me. Seeing this, I sneered. Good timing! The black blade left its sheath. A sharp sword energy swept out, cutting the 500 Jin night demon in half. Blood gushed from its broken body. Then I stepped forward and slashed horizontally again. The night demon sensed danger and tried to dodge, but it was too late. Half of its head was chopped off. Although I had killed 10 night demons in an instant, there was not the slightest expression on my cold face. I picked up my rifle again and fired at the horde. A few minutes later, the horde stopped charging and slowly began to retreat. I raised my hand and signaled everyone to cease fire. Don't waste bullets. When I looked back at the crowd behind me, I felt relieved. Except for the team member ambushed at the very beginning, Wangui's team had suffered no other casualties. They had also killed hundreds of blood zombies. I led the convoy after looting the spoils. Only after we were far from the black blood fiends' territory did we stop. To celebrate this victory, I took out many blue and green supply cards. Watching everyone eat and chat around the campfire, it felt as if we had returned to the days before the apocalypse. Inside the RV, I took out a gold card looted from the night demon. Card check, weapon. Gold card, blood pattern spear. This kind of cold weapon is only useful to someone who has learned matching skills and talents. It is hard for ordinary people to wield. For now, I had no use for it. The next morning, a military truck stopped 250 meters from the camp. It stopped. 5 fully armed men jumped out of the truck. The middle-aged man in front said with a smile, "My name is Lee Genki. I come from the Tuon Jitan community. Who is your leader? I want to talk to him." I went up with a smile. Uncle, what is it? Li Jianqi smiled and said, here's the thing. My camp has solid defenses and plenty of supplies. Are you willing to bring your people back to my camp? Then we can fight those monsters together. If you aren't satisfied after arriving, you can leave anytime. I had to admit, Li Jianqi sounded quite sincere. I thought about it. Checking it out would not hurt. So I took the team and followed Li Jianqi to the community. Near noon, the convoy stopped at the entrance of a restaurant. When we went inside, tents covered the floor. Many refugee-like survivors were living there. At that moment, a young man rushed over anxiously. Boss, Brother Shan is in trouble. He was badly injured by a blood zombie bite. Li Jianqi cried out in shock, then hurried upstairs with the young man. He left our group hanging in the restaurant. His deputy Chen Chi hurriedly apologized. Everyone, I'm sorry. Something happened at home. Please rest here for a while. I waved my hand. It's fine. Go handle your business. 2.5 minutes later, Li Jianqi came down from upstairs. Sorry for neglecting everyone. Another search team of ours was attacked by a zombie horde. The captain was injured. I just went to deal with his situation. I casually asked, is he badly hurt? Li Jianqi sighed. Very badly. 8 people went out and only Old Huang came back alive. And we no longer have any serum. After saying that, he looked at me. Young man, you wouldn't happen to have serum, would you? Looking at Li Jianqi's hopeful eyes, I smiled. Although I did have a silver serum card, I had to keep it for emergencies. After all, my team had more than 30 people. If someone got bitten, what would I do if I had no serum? Li Jianqi nodded. Name your price. What condition would make you give me the serum? The corner of my mouth lifted. Uncle, do you have any gold talent cards? Li Jianqi choked. A silver card for a gold card? Are you taking advantage of my crisis? I said seriously, a silver serum card is a rather special item. Its value is actually close to a gold card. Li Jianqi gritted his teeth, then took a gold card from his pocket. I took it and looked. I was instantly stunned. Talent gold card, Yang Qiao and Yan Qiao meridians. Seeing this, I laughed out loud. In that case, as long as I found Yang Wei, I could learn Qi control through the 2 meridians. To open the 8 meridians and learn Qi control early in the apocalypse, that power was unimaginable. After Li Jianqi got the serum card, he rushed upstairs to give it to Huang Shan. Only after the situation stabilized did he take me around the entire camp. Young man, what do you think of my camp? Why not stay? I smiled faintly, sorry. I have to go to Hiang to find someone, so I won't stay here for long. Besides, there is something I don't know whether I should say. Young man, just say it. Hearing that I was leaving, Li Jianqi looked disappointed. I slowly said, this camp has fewer than 30 armed personnel. The remaining 100+ people have no fighting ability. Those 100+ people, how many resources do they consume in one day? Relying on your 30 people to support their 100 will drag you down sooner or later. These words hit Li Jianqi right where it hurt. As the number of people in the camp increased, he had already felt immense pressure in just a few days. Just then, noise came from downstairs. Dozens of people split into 2 groups, seemingly arguing about something. Li Jianqi and I went to the open space on the first floor. At that moment, Wang Gui ran over and explained what had happened. Just now, some people from Wang Gui's team were hungry, so they started cooking. Most of what they ate was green card food, such as ham sausages, canned food, and instant noodles. Especially the smell of instant noodles. For these locals who had eaten steamed buns and pickles for a week, it was an attack on both their noses and spirits. So the locals sent several representatives to ask for food. After Wang Gui refused, the 2 sides started arguing. Stop arguing. Didn't I give you food this morning? Li Jianqi was extremely embarrassed. After all, he had been boasting to me that the camp lacked no resources. Someone in the crowd shouted, steamed buns and pickles every day. At least give us some canned food. If we keep eating like this, we'll become malnourished sooner or later. When you brought us back, you promised enough food and drink. If we had known this would be the treatment, we might as well not have come. Hearing these words, Li Jianqi was furious. Chen Chi snapped, all of you, shut up. You get free food and still aren't satisfied? To find supplies for you. Brother Shan nearly lost his life outside. He's still unconscious now. Do you have no conscience saying that? Seeing the argument turn into internal conflict, I gave Wang Gui a look, telling him to pack up and prepare to leave. Everyone, don't worry. I will definitely solve the food problem. I hope you can give me some time. Li Jianqi was exhausted in body and mind. He regretted it deeply. Why had he brought in this pile of burdens for no reason? Just then, a man wrapped in bandages ran over. Li Jianqi hurried over to support him. Old Huang, you're awake. Why are you resting? Why did you get out of bed? Huang Shan did not answer. Instead, he became even more agitated. This place isn't safe. We have to leave here quickly. I had already been about to enter the RV, but hearing this made me stop. Did the fever burn your brain? How could this place be unsafe? Li Jianqi was completely confused. Huangshan sat on the steps, panting and said with fear in his eyes, "When our team was scavenging supplies, we were attacked by a zombie horde. Those things had bodies as hard as stone. Bullets couldn't penetrate them. We emptied our magazines and still couldn't kill even one." Li Jianqi looked incredulous. "How is that possible?" I patted Li Jianqi on the shoulder and told him it was indeed possible. If someone learned an aura talent and then turned into a blood zombie, there is a chance they could inherit that talent. Based on Brother Huangshan's description, I guess it's a bullet resistance aura. Ordinary firearms have almost no killing power against them. Li Jianqi was shocked. Then how do we deal with that kind of blood zombie? Simple. Use cold weapons or skills. I then asked Huangshan, "Where did you encounter that group of blood zombies?" "About 10 kilometers to the west." Because Huangshan was seriously injured, after speaking, Chenqi helped him back inside to rest. At this point, I called Li Jianqi aside. "Uncle, I want to borrow your truck." Li Jianqi looked strange. "You know those blood zombies have a talent, yet you still want to risk it?" I smiled calmly. "Uncle, have you heard the saying? The bigger the waves, the pricier the fish?" Besides, with a group of bulletproof blood zombies wandering nearby, aren't you afraid they'll crawl into your bed at night? Li Jianqi nodded. "Borrowing the truck is fine, but I have one condition. I'll drive. I'll take Chenqi and go with you." I chuckled. "Then it's happily decided. There is no time to lose. Let's deal with those blood zombies before dark." Soon, two vehicles stopped at the place Huangshan mentioned. A few hundred meters away were densely packed blood zombies. There were no fewer than 300. Li Jianqi looked through the binoculars and saw everything ahead. Use Molotov cocktails or explosives? But I shook my head. Better not, unless we must. Large-scale weapons like Molotov cocktails and explosives can indeed effectively kill blood zombies, but they also destroy the cards inside the blood zombies as much as possible. That greatly affects the drop rate. And my goal this time was to kill that aura blood zombie first, to see if the bullet resistance aura would drop. This was a rainbow legendary card. With this thing, I would no longer fear being attacked with firearms. If we don't use explosives, that many blood zombies will be hard to kill. Li Jianqi muttered. It was his first time encountering a horde of this scale. By comparison, Wang Gui's team, who had fought a zombie nest last night, was much calmer. They were already ready to fight at any moment. I drew the black blade and shouted to everyone, "Whether we feast tonight depends on this battle." Wang Gui shouted back, "Brothers, charge with me." Then he raised his riot shield and stood at the front. The men in the team followed his example. Over 20 people forced together a wall of shields, firmly blocking the horde's attack. Li Jianqi wiped his short blade on his clothes. Then he actually jumped from where he stood over the shield wall and plunged straight into the horde. Wang Gui froze. Holy crap! What just flew over with a whoosh? I was a little stunned, not knowing why Li Jianqi was courting death. But in the next second, I saw the place where Li Jianqi was, filled with flying limbs. He was like a human meat grinder. Relying only on himself and a machete, he carved a bloody path through the horde. Chenqi looked proud. Strong, right? This is our boss's goblin talent. I smiled, thinking to myself, a gold talent could not possibly have such terrifying killing power. Li Jianqi was clearly holding something back. Just then, a white-haired blood zombie appeared in my sight. I swung the black blade and plunged into the zombie horde as well, aiming straight for the white-haired one at the back. Blood zombies with auras have bodies no different from normal blood zombies. Only some white hair grows on their heads. In just 2.5 seconds, I had killed my way to the white-haired blood zombie. I split its head open with one slash, quickly took out the aura card, and stuffed it into my space. Just then, Li Jianqi's roar suddenly came from beside me. I saw him grab a car wreck with both hands and swing it across. In an instant, he knocked down over a dozen blood zombies closing in. Then he threw the car wreck far away. Another dozen blood zombies were crushed to pieces. He's that strong? This was clearly a rainbow card ability. It should be Overlord or Monster. After the horde lost the aura blood zombies buff, Wang Gui and Chenqi began firing wildly at the horde. In less than 5 minutes, the blood zombies were wiped out completely. Afterward, Li Jianqi sat on the ground, gasping heavily. He had killed over 100 blood zombies by himself and was already exhausted. I reached out and pulled Li Jianqi up. "Uncle, you hid your strength well." Li Jianqi chuckled. "In an apocalypse, you have to keep some cards up your sleeve." After returning to the community, the camp learned that Li Jianqi had wiped out an entire horde and seized a large number of cards. Everyone in the camp was very happy. Li Jianqi was not a stingy person. He immediately took out over half the cards and shared them with everyone, letting them have a better meal. Soon, night fell. Li Jianqi invited me to the rooftop. Then he handed me a bottle of liquor. I accepted it with a smile. "Uncle, you asked to see me alone. Surely it isn't just to buy me a drink." Li Jianqi looked into the distance and slowly said, "If you were in my position, what would you do? I don't know how you lead your team, but my team doesn't support idle people. You get as much as you contribute." Li Jianqi immediately lowered his head in silence, thinking about something. I changed the subject. We previously encountered a black blood fiend. It is a creature 10 times stronger or even more than ordinary blood fiends. Should we join forces and take down the black blood fiend together? Hearing this, Li Jianqi frowned slightly. Can we beat it? The stronger the monster, the better the cards it drops. I said it before, the bigger the waves, the pricier the fish. I narrowed my eyes meaningfully. I told him whether we could beat it was another matter, but in battle, there would definitely be heavy casualties. You need to be mentally prepared for that. It's late today. I'll go back and rest first. Go back and think it over. Give me your answer tomorrow morning. After I left, Li Jianqi's face darkened. He was no fool. How could he not hear the deeper meaning in my words? Inside the RV, I picked up a rainbow card and looked at it. Just as I had guessed, it was indeed the bullet resistance aura. It could greatly increase allies' bullet resistance within 50 meters. The more people it covered, the more stamina it consumed. Without hesitation, I tore the card and learned it myself. The next morning, a burst of noise came from outside. I pulled open the curtains and looked. As expected, Li Jianqi's side was causing trouble again. After arguing for over 10 minutes, Li Jianqi roared, "Anyway, starting today, if you want food and drink, go out with me and kill blood zombies. If you want to freeload, that's impossible. This camp does not support idle people." In the end, the community split into two factions. One faction was the combat faction led by Li Jianqi, with only over 30 people. The other faction was the freeloading faction unwilling to fight, with over 100 people. Li Jianqi was utterly disappointed. "I finally understand. You're all addicted to freeloading. Of course, I won't force you. This is your own choice. From now on, fend for yourselves." After saying that, he took over 30 people and left. At 3 in the afternoon, I brought over 60 people to the place where we had first met Li Jianqi. After clearing out the nearby blood zombies, everyone began setting up camp to rest. Night soon arrived. I gathered the core members of several teams for a meeting. We still don't know the exact location of the black blood fiend, so we need a scout. The corner of Huang Shan's mouth twitched. If I weren't injured, I could serve as the scout. At this moment, Li Jianqi volunteered. "Why don't I go?" I immediately refused. "No. You and I are the main force attacking the blood fiend. It's best not to waste stamina on other things. Personally, I think Huang Shan is the best candidate." Hearing that, Li Jianqi frowned. But old Huang still hasn't recovered. In response, I took out 2 silver cards, a special grade recovery medicine and a stimulant. The former could restore Huang Shan's body to its peak state. The latter could save his life in a crisis. The sturdy Li Jianqi looked helpless. "You planned this long ago." I spread my hands. "Aside from Huang Shan, few people can handle this task." Huang Shan grinned and openly accepted the silver cards. "No problem. Watch my performance tomorrow." Early the next morning, I led everyone to the place where we had encountered the horde before. But unexpectedly, as soon as we got out, dozens of mutant demons in the sky suddenly attacked us. Seeing this, I raised the sniper rifle that shot slightly to the left and pulled the trigger at a mutant demon. With a bang, one mutant demon was shot straight through the head. The others also noticed me and let out sharp screeches as they charged at us. Then a dense mass of blood zombies also appeared at the end of the road. Li Jianqi roared, "Prepare for battle." Everyone tore apart the cards prepared that morning and threw them out. In just over 10 seconds, a simple battle fort was built. Then they raised their guns and aimed, waiting for the horde to enter range before attacking, relying on the sniper rifle. I carried out ultra-long-range headshot sniping. The mutant demons in the sky were headshot one after another, falling down with crackling sounds. Seeing that group of mutant demons in the sky being slaughtered by me alone in such a short time left all the fighters. Morale soared as they began the ground assault. Bullets and arrows poured out like rain. In an instant, swathes of blood zombies were mowed down. Seeing most of the blood zombies drawn by the gunfire, Huang Shan also moved out from the side, circling around the horde to scout the rear. A few minutes later, the blood zombies were still increasing non-stop. With the team's firepower alone, we probably could not hold the line. I took a pile of drones from my spatial ring and strapped explosives to each one. Li Jianqi's eyes grew as wide as lanterns. "Damn, that much explosive?" I remotely flew the drones and carried the explosives into the horde. As deafening explosions rang out, a huge gap was blasted through the dense horde. Under the double firepower from air and ground, the defensive line that was about to collapse was completely stabilized. At this moment, Wang Gui shouted, "Boss, the horde seems to be retreating again. Don't let them escape. Wipe them all out. Do you hear me? Wipe them out. Brothers, charge." Wangui roared, leading the team forward. A dozen minutes later, Wangui and the others returned in triumph. Everyone had smiles all over their faces. For the next while, everyone began cleaning up the battlefield. At this moment, I asked Li Zhenqi, Old Huang, any news from his side? Li Zhenqi shook his head. Old Huang contacted me 5 minutes ago. He said he was still searching. As soon as he finished speaking, the walkie-talkie on the table rang. The Black Blood Corps is in the Song family ancestral hall. It found me. Boss, save me. There's a monster. Before he finished, the sound cut off. Li Zhenqi drew a sharp breath. Old Huang is in trouble. As he spoke, he rushed outside. Soon, we arrived outside Songjia village. I grabbed Li Zhenqi, who wanted to rush in. Calm down. Don't be so reckless. Li Zhenqi angrily slammed his fist into the ground. He could not accept the reality that Huang Shan had died. I raised my binoculars and looked toward Songjia village. At this time, the entire Songjia village was shrouded in gray fog. Through my danger intuition talent, I could clearly sense terror hidden in the mist. Thinking of this, I hurried back to the highway. Seeing everyone had rested enough, I called them to head to Songjia village together. On the road, I took out a gold card and handed it to Li Zhenqi. Li Zhenqi took the gold card and froze for a moment. At this point, ordinary cold weapons do very little damage to the Black Blood Corps. I'll lend you this weapon first. Return it when you're done. Li Zhenqi readily agreed without hesitation. He tore open the gold card. The next second, a long blood-red metal spear appeared in his hand. The spear tip gleamed coldly, extremely sharp. I reminded him, follow my command later. No matter what you see, don't lose control. And don't panic. After entering Songjia village, it felt as if we had entered another world. In this gray space, sunlight could not shine in at all. The huge Songjia village was deathly silent. Then Wangui ran over, followed by a woman in her early 20s. Boss, Hu Chunli is from Songjia village. She knows where the ancestral hall is. Hu Chunli immediately raised her hand and pointed in a direction. The ancestral hall is at the end of this road. Turn left and walk about 10 minutes to reach it. I nodded. Good. Having the location helps. Your name is Hu Chunli, right? I'll credit you for this. Then under Hu Chunli's guidance, the group slowly walked toward the ancestral hall. Li Zhenqi muttered softly, it's really quiet. So quiet it's making me uneasy. Chenchi whispered, boss, we've walked all this way. We've seen quite a lot of blood, but why haven't we seen even a single corpse? I narrowed my eyes and stopped walking. If Chenchi had not reminded me, I would have almost overlooked the most obvious clue. Since the apocalypse began, only a dozen days had passed. Even if everyone in Songjia village had been killed by blood zombies, there could not be no corpses at all. Something was very wrong. The corner of my mouth twitched. Don't tell me we hit the jackpot. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Then came the sound of something heavy crushing over the ground. 100 meters away, an enormous monster raised its head. When everyone saw clearly what the monster was, their faces turned deathly pale. Some were even so frightened they wet themselves on the spot. It was an incredibly huge centipede-type monster. Its body was no smaller than a train. Li Zhenqi sucked in a breath. Damn it. What the hell is that thing? A black blood core with a special trait, I sighed. For a moment, I did not know whether to be happy or depressed. A black blood core is an upgraded blood core, and during the upgrade process, there is a certain chance of mutation. Usually, this kind is called a mutant black core. It is even rarer than an ordinary black blood core. If I had known the black blood core in the Song Ancestral Hall was a mutant one, I would never have come looking for trouble. But since we were already here, there was no reason to run. The giant centipede had clearly noticed the human group. It twisted its body and crawled over rapidly. Wangui roared, then hurriedly opened fire. Bullets crackled against the centipede's body. Although they splashed up bits of flesh, they could not stop the centipede's advance at all. Even though the sniper rifle in my hands could blast a bloody hole into it, for a giant centipede hundreds of meters long, it was no different from a scratch. I put the sniper rifle back into my spatial ring, then took out the Ghostfire motorcycle. Old Li, buy me some time. Li Zhenqi knew what I intended to do. He gritted his teeth. Go and come back fast. I can't hold this damn thing for long. I rode the Ghostfire and rushed out. While everyone drew its attention, I planned to strike its base and kill the mutant black core. After roaring, Li Zhenqi leapt up with all his strength, swinging the blood-patterned spear and stabbing it into the centipede's head. Although the spear sank halfway into the centipede's head, it had little effect. The giant centipede only shook hard, and Li Zhenqi was flung away together with his spear. Chenchi cried out in shock and hurriedly ran toward Li Zhenqi. The giant centipede seemed to notice Chenchi. It swung its body and attacked him. The next second, Chenqi's body was pierced by an antenna, and he died instantly. Li Zhenqi climbed out of the ruins. Seeing yet another brother die, his towering rage could no longer be suppressed. He roared toward the sky, grabbed the blood-patterned spear, and charged at the centipede again. He drove it in with all his strength. But the centipede did not care about Li Zhenqi's attack. It raised its huge head and smashed it down heavily toward the crowd. Meanwhile, I successfully reached the Song Ancestral Hall. I drew the black blade, gold cutter, and walked straight in. Suddenly, I heard the sound of air being torn beside my ear. Two night demons had launched a sneak attack from behind. Reacting instantly, I raised my blade and struck. In an instant, I cut the night demons in half. Then, without looking back, I stepped into the ancestral hall. At this moment, beside the black blood core, there were no monsters at all. Seeing this, the corner of my mouth lifted. I gripped the blade with both hands and slashed hard at the black blood core. The black blade cut through its shell without resistance. A large amount of thick, foul black blood sprayed out. The attacked black blood core immediately let out a sharp screech. But by now, the horde had already been wiped out. The only one that could come to its rescue was that giant centipede. The centipede fighting the human team at the rear heard the cry and twisted its body like mad, crawling toward the Song Ancestral Hall. At this moment, Lee Genki was like a god descending, standing on the centipede's back. His feet were deeply embedded in its flesh, stabilizing his body so he would not be thrown off. His two arms gripped the blood-patterned spear and repeatedly stabbed the centipede's body. The attacked area was already a bloody mess, with chunks of flesh flying. But the thick-skinned giant centipede was not affected at all. In moments, it carried Lee Genki back to the Song Ancestral Hall. From above, it looked at the black blood core that had already shriveled into black liquid. Its enormous head seemed to show an expression of despair. I hid in a nearby alley and called softly, "Old Lee." Hearing this, Lee Genki looked toward me and froze. Then he pulled out the blood-patterned spear and jumped down. With a sprint, he sat on the back of the Ghostfire. The Ghostfire motorcycle's mobility was pushed to the extreme at this moment. Soon, we returned to the village. What came into view were several dozen survivors trembling in fear. Even more people had been crushed into pulp during the battle. I shouted, "Retreat now!" Wangui hammered hard at his legs, which were trembling from fear and would not obey. He struggled to organize everyone to flee. Just as everyone fled the scene, the centipede caught up from behind. Its bloated, fat body rose high. Lee Genki asked, "If the two of us attack together, can we beat it?" I looked at the giant centipede getting closer and closer. "I don't know. Let's test the power of my newly learned skill." I gripped the blade with both hands and began charging power. In an instant, the blade flashed with dazzling light and slashed out. The centipede's enormous head split into two halves at once. Lee Genki was utterly shocked by the sight. No words could describe this moment. Was this truly power a human could possess? I smiled and said, "Decisive slash." I learned it from the black blood core. This skill is even stronger than I imagined. We succeeded. Succeeded? Lee Genki looked blankly at Chenchi, and the many corpses turned into meat paste. 2 lines of tears flowed from his eyes. After this battle, the team of over 60 had less than half remaining. I called Wangui over and took out a thick stack of cards. "Distribute these cards. Let everyone rest properly." The worst cards I gave out this time were green cards. Most were blue cards, plus a few silver cards. Wangui nodded, took the cards, and returned to the crowd. At this moment, I took out another stack of cards and a bracelet, handing them to Lee Genki. "Old Lee, these are for your team." Lee Genki looked at the cards, then raised his brow. "What is this bracelet?" I explained. This time, there were 2 rainbow cards in total. One was decisive slash. The other is this electronic defense bracelet. As long as you use silver card batteries, it can block attacks. It suits your fighting style quite well. My words almost made Liu Ryan, who was roasting meat nearby, lose composure. The electronic defense bracelet was obviously secondhand. Lee Genki shook his head. "I can't use this thing. You think I'm as rich as you? Using silver card batteries whenever you want. Just exchange it for a few practical gold cards for me." "What kind of gold cards do you want?" "I'll see if I have them. My gold talent is Barbarian. My rainbow talent is Manchu Star. The blood-patterned spear suits me well. I won't return it to you. For the rest, you decide." I thought for a moment, then took out 2 gold cards, Javelin Champion and Precision Throw. "No talents fit you better than these 2. Lee Genki looked confused, but since they were cards I strongly recommended, he did not hesitate much. He used the 2 cards on the spot. Then, with a just trying it out attitude, he casually threw the blood-patterned spear at a distant stone pillar. He barely aimed at all, yet the blood-patterned spear seemed to have eyes. It turned into a streak of light and stabbed into the stone pillar with a crack. Half of the spear shaft sank straight in. Lee Genki sucked in a cold breath. These 2 cards are that powerful? Why was the blood-patterned spear he threw so powerful? At this time, Liu Ryan's eyes were full of envy. Compared to Lee Genki, her mechanical bow was no different from a toy. I explained to her from the side. It was because all of Lee Genki's current talents were a perfect match. Together, they complemented each other and achieved a 1 + 1 = 3 effect. Hearing this, Liu Ryan looked curious. I did not explain in detail. Instead, I smiled and returned to the RV. Then I took out 3 rainbow cards and smiled with satisfaction. One mutant black core had dropped for rainbow cards in total. Decisive slash greatly enhanced my instant burst power. Temporarily, it could double my energy capacity, greatly improving my endurance. Once I got the final gold card, Yang and the Yinwei Meridian, my combat power would undergo a qualitative change. As for the last two cards, they were not useful for now. Besides these for rainbow cards, there were also more than a dozen gold cards. It could be said that this was another day of massive gains. The next morning, I stepped out of the RV and came to Lee Genki's side. I asked, "What are your plans from now on? Are you going back to the restaurant?" Lee Genki shook his head repeatedly. "Why go back there? Just seeing those ingrates makes me angry. If you don't mind, I plan to bring my brothers and follow you." My face immediately filled with smiles. I firmly shook Lee Genki's hand. "Welcome aboard, old Lee." After breakfast, I gathered everyone together and told them my thoughts. "You all saw yesterday's battle with your own eyes. The monsters we face from now on will only get stronger. I am giving you a choice now. You can stay here. I will leave you 1 month's worth of supplies. Of course, you can also choose to keep following me. Stay or come with me. Give me your answer before 2:30 this afternoon." Liu Ryan looked confused. "I don't understand. Why are you suddenly letting them stay behind?" I explained I need to build an elite team. I don't need everyone to be like you and old Lee and play such a huge role, but at least they cannot hold us back when fighting monsters. When we fought the centipede yesterday, many people wet their pants, and some even deserted. Time soon reached 2:30 in the afternoon. The results were out. A total of 25 people chose to stay. Among them was even Wang Gui. Only 3 men and 3 women decided to continue following me. This result was both expected and unexpected. I kept my word. I immediately had Liu Ryan take out 500 white and green cards and give them to Wang Gui. He took the cards, staring with his head lowered, unable to say a word for a long time. I patted Wang Gui on the shoulder. "I understand what you're thinking. The guns will stay with you for self-defense. You have combat experience. As long as you stay cautious, I believe you can live quite comfortably." Wang Gui's eyes became a little wet. In a choked voice, he said, "Thank you, boss." After a simple farewell, I drove the small RV onto the highway. Behind me followed the truck driven by old Lee. At dusk, we arrived at Hiang. This once famous tourist city had now become a dead city. Just as we planned to stop to make camp, we saw in the distance two pickup trucks slowly heading this way. I looked carefully and saw in the passenger seat of the lead vehicle an old acquaintance from my past life, Zhu Yun. In my previous life, when I drifted to Hiang, it was more than 2 months into the apocalypse. Back then, Zhu Yun was already the leader of Haicheng's largest community, the Heavenly God community. I worked there for quite some time as a search team member. Only after the community was destroyed by a zombie tide did I leave. And during my wandering, I met Feng Xiaoni. I wonder if they have any information about Xiaoni. Thinking of this, I took out a flare and threw it over. As soon as the flare hit the ground, it lit the street as bright as day. The 2 pickup trucks also stopped cautiously. Zhu Yun, sitting in the passenger seat, frowned. He picked up the walkie-talkie and called, "Second brother, go see what's going on. Find out whether someone really needs rescue or if it's a trap. Act accordingly." "Got it, boss." After saying this, Second Huang got out of the vehicle, holding a pistol in his hand. He cautiously approached the flare. I mean, no harm. After shouting this, I jumped straight down from the 3rd floor. After landing, I raised both hands high to show my attitude. Second Huang put away his gun and shouted at me, "Who are you? Why did you stop us? What do you want?" "I'm looking for someone. A woman named Feng Xiaoni. I wonder if you've seen her." At this moment, Zhu Yun's voice came through the walkie-talkie. "Second brother, give him the walkie-talkie. Our boss wants to talk to you." After saying that, Second Huang tossed me the walkie-talkie. "Our shelter is inside the city. There are several hundred people. I'm not sure whether the woman you mentioned is there. Do you want to come back with us and take a look? How many people are on your side?" I smiled, including me. "There are 9 people in total. If you can allow me to visit your shelter, I would be truly grateful." "No problem. We'll wait for you." Hearing this, I drove the RV and followed behind the pickups. 2.5 hours later, everyone returned to the shelter. The scale of this shelter was much larger than old Lee's previous one. The shelter had been converted from the People's Hospital. The surrounding walls and guardrails had all been reinforced. In the sentry posts every few dozen meters, there were dedicated people standing guard, and many plants had been planted in the garden, such as cucumbers, tomatoes, and chili peppers. This shocked me greatly. They had already started. Farming wasn't that ridiculous. The arrival of strangers naturally attracted the locals' attention. They stuck their heads out from every floor to look down. After parking the vehicle, I got out and took the initiative to shake Zhu Yun's hand in thanks. After chatting briefly, Zhu Yun instructed Second Huang to go to the broadcast room and have someone broadcast Feng Xiaoni's information. In less than 2 minutes, the hospital broadcast sounded. Now broadcasting a missing person notice. Feng Xiaoni, female 20 years old, If you are in the shelter, please come to the lobby. But after waiting for over 10 minutes, Fang Xiaoni still did not appear. I also understood that she probably was not in this shelter, so I prepared to leave. At this moment, Zhu Yun smiled and said, "Why not rest here for the night first? In the morning, I'll have someone broadcast again for you. At this hour, she might already be asleep." I smiled. Since that's the case, we'll sleep in the vehicles outside. That night, we settled down in the open area of the hospital shelter. Nothing happened overnight, but early the next morning, just as dawn was breaking, a burst of cries suddenly came from outside. Then came the piercing sound of alarms. Blood rain began falling from the sky. Countless large and small blood cores fell from above. The inside and outside of the hospital instantly fell into chaos. But I calmly raised my military binoculars and looked up. My heart stirred. This was not ordinary blood rain. It was a rare double fish fall. Card rain and blood core rain were happening at the same time. I immediately led everyone to climb onto the roof of the vehicle, leaving one person below to drive. Under my command, the RV rushed out of the hospital gate. Seeing this, Second Huang hacked down blood zombies while cursing toward the departing RV. Those useless bastards. They actually ran away. Idiot, can't you see the military truck is still in the yard? They aren't fleeing. They're going hunting. On my side, I drove the small RV out of the shelter's line of sight. Then we began killing blood zombies while picking up cards. Although this was the 9-person team's first group battle, our coordination was quite smooth. Oldly, the barbarian, could fight at range and up close. He completely took on the role of a tank. Charging into the horde, he swept and stabbed wildly. Liu Ryan and I provided range support to help Old Li kill blood zombies. The remaining people had not been enhanced, so they could only pick up cards nearby. If any stray blood zombies got through, they would kill them. Turn right 500 meters ahead. I gave the driver the order, because there was a gold card floating in mid-air ahead. When we reached the intersection, a dozen hostile gazes looked straight at us. They were not blood zombies, but a hunting group. I shouted loudly, "Friends up ahead. How about we each take one street and stay out of each other's way?" The search team's leader was a middle-aged man in his 40s. He smiled and said, "No problem, friend. If you pick up any gold cards or rainbow cards, we can make a trade. Do you have Yangwei and Yinwei Meridian gold cards? What do you plan to trade for them? We're short on ammunition here. 30 silver cards." Hearing he wanted 30 silver cards for one gold card, I almost laughed. A 32-1 exchange rate? How is that different from robbery? I don't have that many silver cards. Only 15. At most, I'll add 10 blue cards. Let's make the trade, okay? As I spoke, I deliberately acted very naive. Every word made me seem harmless. The middle-aged man fell for it. Fine. I'll take a small loss. Come over and trade. I immediately jumped off the RV and walked toward him. When I was over 100 meters from him, I waved the cards in my hand. I brought the cards. The middle-aged man sneered. "Put the cards down, then you can get lost." At this moment, I was still pretending. "What do you mean? I came here to trade. Where are the cards I want?" The middle-aged man looked disdainful. "You want cards? You must be tired of living." His underlings also mocked me. Haha, dumb as a pig. Does this kid still not understand the situation? After that, guns of various lengths were aimed at me at the same time. I can't believe an idiot like you survived this long in the apocalypse and even formed a team. I'll count to 3. Leave the cards. Then get as far away as you can. Killing a pig like you would waste bullets. I sighed leisurely. Since you put it that way, then you can die. I drew the black blade, gold cutter, and raised my hand to unleash decisive slash. In the next moment, a terrifying arc of light split the middle-aged man and his car in two. The others reacted and screamed as they pulled their triggers. But facing the hail of bullets, I did not even bother dodging. Most of them only caused minor scratches. The most terrifying part was those wounds healed at a visible speed. This was the value of super recovery body plus the bullet resistance aura. Can you increase the firepower a bit? I'm getting sleepy from this. Seeing their magazines empty while the young man before them was completely fine, the dozen remaining people in the convoy turned and ran in fear. But I gave them no chance to escape. I took a sniper rifle from my spatial ring and pulled the trigger repeatedly. With the sharpshooter talent enhancing me, the entire street soon fell silent. Only 12 corpses with blasted heads remained. To save time and avoid missing any cards, I stuffed the dozen corpses all at once into my spatial ring. The top priority right now was gathering resources. Looting bodies could wait until the rain stopped. The double rain lasted an hour and a half before stopping. We did not return to the hospital shelter until 2:30 in the afternoon. We had been roaming outside for a full 6 hours. Seeing me return, Zhu Yun's eyes were full of envy. Looks like you gained quite a lot, young man. Not bad. No loss. Brother Zhu, did you stay in the shelter the whole time? Zhu Yun shook his head. Not exactly. I went out earlier, but unfortunately, I didn't find any good cards. Others got to them first. By the way, Hiking has many search teams. Did you not run into any? Of course we did. It's just that they have all become corpses. I then turned and asked, do you have any extra cards for trade? I need the gold card Yangwei and the Yinwei Meridian. I can exchange gold cards of the same level or 10 silver cards. Also, I need some support type gold and silver skill cards. I'll write a list later. Please help me look for them. Wait a moment. I'll ask whether the others have any. After saying that, Zhu Yun turned and left. I returned to the open area to camp and sort the cards. Unexpectedly, this haul reached 2,470 cards. There were over a dozen gold cards alone and more than 60 silver cards. After sorting them, I distributed 60 talent cards to my subordinates. At this moment, Liu Ryan looked at me eagerly. Boss, I really want to improve. Hearing this, I chuckled. I prepared yours long ago. As I spoke, I took out 3 gold cards. They were warmth, cold, and purification auras. At first, Liu Ryan was quite happy, but when she saw the descriptions of the 3 gold cards, she almost cried. Warmth aura continuously consumes stamina to raise the surrounding temperature. Cold aura continuously consumes stamina to lower the surrounding temperature. Purification aura continuously consumes stamina to purify the surrounding air. At this moment, Liu Ryan was so angry she stomped. What is all this? An air conditioner plus an air purifier? Won't this drain me dry? I know you really want to ask what these 3 auras are for, but it's best to prepare for the future. Besides, they are still gold cards. They will definitely be useful someday. With one sentence, I completely shut Liu Ryan's mouth. After all the support personnel had finished building their card sets, I took out 2 gold cards and over 20 silver cards and gave them to Old Li. They were Street Fighter and Frenzy. The former boosts melee attack power. The latter is a skill that increases burst power. At dusk, Zhu Yun came to find me with Second Huang and a few others, bringing disappointing news. They had asked everyone in the shelter, but did not find Yangwei or the Yinwei Meridian. I had expected this result already. If there isn't any, then forget it. Brother Zhu, I'm preparing to leave. Zhu Yun paused. Leave? Where are you planning to go? Just look around. In any case, I won't leave Haikang soon. If you find Feng Xiaoni, please tell me. I will reward you generously. Zhu Yun smiled. Don't worry, I definitely will. It's just that it's already dark. There are more blood zombies at night. If you encounter night demons, it will be very dangerous. He clearly wanted us to stay, but I said nothing. Seeing my decision was firm, Zhu Yun smiled. Then I won't force you to stay. Whether the first find the person or the card, I will contact you. Then thanks. After saying that, I called everyone into the vehicles and left the hospital shelter. Second Huang was somewhat unconvinced. Boss, you're just letting them leave? Zhu Yun turned and glared at Second Huang. Those people definitely have a lot of cards. No matter how many cards they have, it has nothing to do with us. Don't tell me you want to rob them? Second Huang looked indifferent. So what if we rob them? Are they going to call the police to arrest me? This is the apocalypse. The strong prey on the weak. Boss, you're too indecisive. Zhu Yun shook his head. Even in the apocalypse, we can't act recklessly. Pack up and prepare to go hunting. Fine, I understand. Second Huang sighed. But after Zhu Yun walked away, Timen beside Second Huang said, Brother Huang, I'll say something you may not like. Boss Zhu is a good man, no doubt, but he really isn't fit to be leader. He won't even slaughter such a fat sheep. Someone so indecisive isn't suitable as a leader. What about you? Second Huang glanced sideways at them. Earlier today, while they were away, I planted a tracker on their truck. Are we doing this or not? We'll follow your lead, Brother Huang. Meanwhile, I was drinking coffee and looking outside. With Lin Mo, a professional driver, I was much more relaxed. We kept roaming until past 2 in the morning. Only then did the night search come to an end. I signaled Lin Mo to drive to the KFC entrance in the city center. We would camp there for the night. Wufa from the team was left on night watch. At 3 in the morning, Second Huang lowered his military binoculars and licked his lips. Looks like they're all asleep. Brothers, get ready. Second Huang grabbed his rifle and led 13 fully armed underlings arrogantly toward the RV. But what they did not know was the moment their vehicle entered the street, Wufa had already told me through the walkie-talkie, and I was now watching this group of uninvited guests. From what I knew of Zhu Yun in my previous life, he was not the kind to murder and rob. These people must be acting on their own, so I ordered Old Li to check it out. Before he left, I also gave him a bullet resistance aura. Old Li swaggered out from cover and faced Second Huang's team alone, fully armed in the middle of the night. What are you planning to do, damn? Second Huang was surprised. He had not expected his move to be discovered, but it did not matter. Everyone here had to die anyway, so he simply showed his hand. Why ask what you already know? We're here with guns. If not to rob you, did we come here to practice singing and dancing? Old Li twisted his neck. Fine. You won't even pretend. Come at me. Second Huang laughed wildly and pulled the trigger. Bullets fell like rain, clanging against old Lee's body. But without exception, all of them bounced off. Second Huang was shocked. What the hell? What's going on? I'm standing here letting you shoot, and you still can't kill me. With that little ability, you dare imitate murders? Now it's my turn. Old Lee laughed loudly and picked up the blood-patterned spear. He threw it straight forward, simply and directly. A terrifying sound of air tearing suddenly rang out. Second Huang had no time to react. He only felt something flash before his eyes, as if something had flown past. When he came back to himself and turned to look, he saw his good friend's chest had been pierced through. Shoot! Hurry, shoot! Second Huang turned pale with fright and screamed as he pulled the trigger. A dozen guns fired at the same time. Even old Lee, protected by the bullet's resistance aura, could not fully withstand it. Blood kept bursting from his body. But as a burst of green light flashed, the wounds healed in the next second. This was Hu Chunli's remote healing. M-Monster. Second Huang trembled uncontrollably in fear. The next second, Old Lee lunged forward, ready to finish them. I reminded him from the side, Old Lee, just cripple them. These people are still useful. Meanwhile, inside the hospital shelter, Zhu Yun, busy all day, was sitting in his boss chair, resting with his eyes closed. After slowly opening his eyes, he saw the clock already pointing to 2:30 a.m. His brow furrowed slightly. After calling his assistant and asking, he learned that the search team led by Second Huang had been gone for over 6 hours and had not returned. At this moment, the phone on the table suddenly rang. Was it your idea for Second Huang to ambush me? My cold voice came from the other end. What? Zhu Yun shot to his feet. After briefly explaining, I hung up. Then I signaled everyone to rest. Old Lee came over. Are you planning to squeeze Zhu Yun for compensation? His people ambushed me, so of course I'll make him bleed a little. In a blink, dawn arrived. A convoy arrived at the entrance of our temporary KFC camp. Protected by his men, Zhu Yun came to the entrance. He stared fixedly at the barely alive Second Huang and the others. Their arms and legs had been smashed by a blunt weapon. Though not fatal, full recovery would be almost impossible. At this moment, I walked out of the RV. Brother Zhu, you owe me an explanation. What exactly is the meaning of this? Zhu Yun took a deep breath and signaled everyone to lower their guns. Second Huang acted on his own. Although it had nothing to do with me, I do bear some responsibility. I apologize to you. I accept the apology. Besides that, you need to compensate me. Zhu Yun had expected me to say this. He smiled bitterly. The shelter has few resources left. These 10 silver cards are the best things I can take out right now. Seeing this, Old Lee glared. Only 10 silver cards? Are you brushing off a beggar? I patted Old Lee on the shoulder, telling him not to be impulsive. I know this shelter has difficulties. Let's just consider ourselves friends. Even a mosquito's leg is meat. I'll take the cards. Take your men away. I'll pretend last night never happened. Zhu Yun signaled his men to carry Second Huang and the others into the vehicles. Then he hurriedly left. In truth, I did not lack those 10 silver cards. What I lacked was a reliable ally. But before Feng Xiaoni returned to the team, offending Zhu Yun's team completely would do me no good. At the same time, Zhu Yun's face was so dark it seemed water could drip from it. I warned you several times not to provoke them, and now? Total annihilation. Tell me exactly what happened last night. It was all my fault. I misjudged their strength. Last night, only the man surnamed Li made a move. At this moment, Second Huang regretted it bitterly. He continued telling Zhu Yun what happened last night. After hearing the whole story, Zhu Yun drew a sharp breath. Right now, he had only one thought. He could only become my ally and absolutely not my enemy. Boss, this isn't the road back to the shelter, is it? Second Huang took a sip of water and looked out the window in confusion. Over a dozen of you had your limbs smashed. Living would only be torture. It would be better to die and end it. Zhu Yun said this very calmly. Boss, please don't kill me. I have always been loyal to you. If you were truly loyal, you would not have hidden this from me and done such a thing. As he spoke, Zhu Yun sighed and snapped his fingers. Several thorny vines sucked Second Huang into a dried corpse. At this moment, the beauty Ding Yuan beside him said softly, now that Second Huang is dead, and we have lost many combat personnel, if there is no other way, we can only adopt Plan B. Hearing this, Zhu Yun rubbed his temples. I really should have listened to you back then. I only hate that I could not bring myself to do it. Ding Yuan smiled faintly. All right, stop the car. I'll go deal with the people in the back. Soon, screams rose one after another. The horrifying screams lasted a full 2.5 minutes. When she came out again, Ding Yuan wore a satisfied smile. Time moved to 2 days later. I was leading the team in a fierce cleanup of blood zombies. Dozens of nearby blood zombies went mad, charging toward us. But what greeted them was a rain of arrows. At this moment, Old Lee hurled the blood-patterned spear with all his strength at a night demon. But to Old Lee's surprise, the night demon actually dropped something that shocked me. It was a rainbow card trading terminal. This thing was different from other rainbow cards. It was a machine that allowed remote trading. It could trade cards with other people who also had trading machines. Even if there was no one to trade with, unused cards could be exchanged for survival points, which could buy cards built into the trading terminal. I immediately tore open the card. As a golden light flashed, a trading machine over 1 meter tall appeared. The trading terminal looked very similar to a slot machine. It was very simple and convenient to operate. You only needed to charge it with a silver card battery, then insert the cards for trading through the left side input slot. After a successful trade, the new card would come out from the right side output slot. However, judging from the displayed trading range, besides ours, there was no second trading machine. In that case, let's see what can be bought inside the trading machine. As I spoke, I skillfully operated the trading terminal. Soon, a purchase interface popped up. Below it was a refresh countdown of 5 hours, 41 minutes, and 35 seconds. The goods on the interface required survival points to purchase. White cards cost 1 point, green cards cost 10 points, blue cards cost 100 points, silver and gold cards cost 1,000 and 10,000 points. Rainbow cards were relatively special cards, so they could not be recycled. Seeing this, Old Lee cried out, "Damn, they actually sell the barbarian talent here, and the price is as high as 30,000 points. Why don't they just rob us?" The trading terminal is mainly for equal trades with people. Even with a markup, it won't be too high. Buying cards from the terminal is a loss 99% of the time. For now, this thing was rather useless. Seeing it was already 5 in the morning, I had everyone go rest. But I had just finished breakfast when Old Lee's voice came from outside. "What's going on? What is that in the sky? Hurry and call boss out." After coming out, I looked at the sky. I saw that the terrifying monster that had existed since the apocalypse began was collapsing at a visible speed, turning into countless fragments falling into hell. The monster face collapsed. Does that mean the apocalypse is ending? Hu Chummy covered her mouth, weeping tears of joy. The others also showed the same excited expressions. Only Liu Ryan quietly glanced at me. But my face was solemn. The second stage, it came this quickly. Old Lee looked over. "What do you mean by second stage? The difficulty of survival has increased." I said this and turned around expressionlessly. I walked into the RV, then called everyone to get in quickly. Soon, explosions rang out one after another. Countless fragments of the monster face smashed into the ground like shells, destroying building after building, and many blood dogs appeared by the roadside. These monster dogs were larger than blood zombies. Each one was drenched in blood. I raised the sniper rifle and fired. From a kilometer away, one shot blew apart a blood dog's head. That caused many nearby blood dogs to hear the gunshot and gather toward the small RV. Appearing together with them was another monster we had never seen before. They were stronger than blood zombies, but slightly weaker than night demons. I did not hesitate. Bullets fired out one after another, blasting all the blood dogs and enhanced blood zombies apart. The others soon recovered from their shock and began slaughtering the blood dog pack. Old Lee was still fierce. With one sweep of his spear, he took down 3 blood dogs. In the face of absolute strength, these new monsters still posed no threat to everyone. Soon, the blood dogs and blood zombies on the road were cleared out. At 7 in the morning, the previously calm sky suddenly showed giants as tall as mountains. Their arms smashed heavily into the ground, causing earthquakes and heavy casualties. This chaotic scene lasted for more than 3 full hours. It did not stop until close to noon. Then a cold wind suddenly swept through the sky. As goosefeather snow slowly fell, the temperature in Hiang, in just over 10 minutes, dropped from 25 above zero to 15 below. The ground was quickly covered in a thick layer of snow. This sudden cold made Old Lee quickly crawl into the RV. But as soon as he came in, he discovered the temperature inside was surprisingly high. It felt like floor heating had been turned on. The temperature stayed around 23 degrees. This left him completely puzzled. When he got close to Liu Ryan, he found that she was like a large fireplace, constantly releasing powerful heat. I laughed loudly from the side. This was truly a blind cat catching a dead mouse. But the RV was only so big. It could not hold this many people. As I spoke, I handed out some cold resistance cards to several people, telling them to move back into the house. The temperature dropped by dozens of degrees so suddenly. People who had not prepared cold weather gear would suffer badly. "How long do you think this extreme weather will last?" Old Lee asked, looking at me in confusion. "I'm not a god. How would I know?" In truth, I knew very well. This snow would last about 3 months, and the temperature would get lower and lower. During the final half month, the temperature would even reach -50 degrees. Many people would not survive this extreme cold. Outside, snowflakes drifted and the cold wind cut like knives. But with 3 heaters and Liu Ryan's warmed aura, everyone ate hot pot and drank beer. Old Lee was so hot that he took off his down jacket. But just as I was enjoying the meal, the phone hanging at my waist suddenly rang. It was Zhu Yun calling. Brother, are you still in hiking? His voice was trembling slightly. I am. What's wrong? Do you have cold resistance cards? This damn weather is too cold. I don't have nearly enough cold resistance cards. I do have some cold resistance cards, but definitely not enough for 400 people. There aren't 400 people anymore. I left the hospital shelter the day before yesterday. Now I only have over 30 brothers with me. Zhu Yun was not lying to me. 3 days ago, after dealing with Second Huang's group, he returned to the shelter and called all the cadres together for a meeting. In the end, they decided to leave the hospital shelter. Before leaving, they left a batch of supply cards for the people there. I see. I understand. But you know supply cards are hard to come by. If you want cold weather supplies, you have to trade something for them. 1 silver card for 1 set of cold weather cards including clothes, pants, shoes, and socks. Deal. Send me the address. Come get them yourself. Half an hour later, several pickups and box trucks arrived at the street through wind and snow. Zhu Yun had the others wait outside and only brought Ding Yuan into the room. As soon as they entered, they froze. Had they come to heaven? The room was actually this warm, and there was beer and roast duck. Seeing this, I walked over with a smile. Brother Zhu, Miss Ding, would you like to eat with us? There are still plenty of dishes. Zhu Yun swallowed hard. Thank you. No need to eat. My brothers outside are still freezing. Let's trade the cards first. I need 10 sets. No problem. Here. I took out more than 200 white and green cold resistance cards and handed them over. I also gave them an extra hot pot card. After Zhu Yun accepted them, he settled in a supermarket 1 street away from me. Although 10 sets of cold weather supplies were not enough for 30 people, having some was better than none. Ha, that feels great. After drinking a big bowl of hot pot soup, one underling cried out happily. Zhu Yun was not the kind of fool who would sit around until supplies ran out. He knew that the harsher the environment, the more important it was to go out and search for supplies. Otherwise, even if they did not freeze to death, they would starve. So he instructed his men, we don't know how long the snow will last. After we finish eating, Ding Yuan and I will take some brothers out hunting. You repair this supermarket. Do not let the cold air pour in. At that moment, the bespectacled man among them spoke. Boss, there's something I'm not sure I should say. Go ahead. There are no outsiders here. They only have 9 people. We have over 30. Why should we eat their leftovers exactly? Why not just rob them? The others heard this and agreed. But Zhu Yun said expressionlessly, 3 days ago, Second Huang had the same thought as you. As a result, one person wiped out his entire group, and it wasn't even their leader who acted. If they dared to tell you their location, then they are not afraid of being robbed. Ding Yuan also spoke softly from the side. Those 9 people next door, not one of them is easy to deal with. You had better give up those unrealistic thoughts early. Back when they exchanged supplies, Ding Yuan had sensed with danger perception that when she was close to me, there was an invisible immense pressure. On the other side, after resting briefly, I decided to go hunting. Oldly wanted to come with me, but I refused. He was one of the team's only to high-level fighters. He had to guard the shelter. After briefly instructing everyone, I walked out. Unexpectedly, as soon as I turned the street corner, I saw Zhu Yun and the others coming out of the shop. He smiled and waved. I rode the ghost fire up to Zhu Yun. Brother Zhu, are you going hunting? Yes. We're desperately short on supplies. If we don't kill some monsters soon, my team will starve even if they don't freeze to death. As he spoke, he looked at my ghost fire. Then he suddenly said, young man, do you want to act together with us? I thought about it and felt it was a good proposal. Although supplies would be split, our safety and efficiency would improve. No problem. I specialize in long-range sniping. I can provide long-range fire support for you. Zhu Yun laughed. That is great, perfect. It makes up for our lack of long-range attackers. There is no time to lose. Let's set out now. With that, Zhu Yun took out a gold card, tore it open, and threw it onto the street. A brand new snow combat vehicle appeared. A snow combat vehicle is designed for fighting in snowy conditions. It can hold up to 10 people. The inside is very spacious, and it is equipped with a high-power air conditioner. Seeing this, I immediately put away the ghost fire and got in. Together with Zhu Yun's group, we slowly drove along the road. After the snow combat vehicle drove for about 20 minutes, beside a collapsed building 500 meters ahead, there were more than a dozen blood dogs and some blood zombies wandering aimlessly. I was not in a hurry to act. Instead, I gave Zhu Yun's people the opportunity. 5 fully armed men took weapons from their backpacks and approached the dog pack on foot. Blood dogs have extremely sharp senses of smell. As expected, they discovered the men's traces. They barked wildly while charging over. The 5-person team was no pushover either. Once the blood dogs entered effective range, the rifles in their hands fired together. Most of the blood dogs were shot full of holes, with only a few barely clinging to life. At that moment, among the group, a burly man drew a long blade. With swift strikes, he chopped down the remaining blood dogs. Over the next half hour, everyone went through several small-scale battles. Since the numbers were not large, I had no chance to act at all. Zhu Yun beside me joked, "I can tell now. You're waiting for the big ones. Blue cards no longer catch your eye. Brother Zhu, you're only half right. Blue cards are indeed not very attractive to me. More importantly, sniper rifles are very loud. I'm worried they will attract too many monsters." My casual words seemed to open a new world for Zhu Yun. I'm so stupid. How did I forget something so simple? We wasted so much fuel. Just make some noise and lure monsters over to kill them. I smiled without saying anything, thinking he had finally figured it out. Immediately, Zhu Yun drove the snow combat vehicle to the entrance of a mall. Then he pressed the horn. The piercing horn sound instantly spread across the empty street. 2.5 minutes later, one member of the team suddenly looked serious. "Boss, they're coming, and there are a lot of them. Prepare for battle." Zhu Yun raised his rifle and climbed onto the vehicle roof. I also took out my sniper rifle. In the field of view on both the left and right sides appeared dozens, even hundreds, of blood wolves. Behind them followed a large group of first-stage blood zombies. Zhu Yun grinned when he saw this. The more there are, the better the slaughter. Tonight, we'll have extra food. Soon, the hordes on both sides entered firing range. Everyone immediately opened fire. Bullets poured down and swept over groups of blood dogs and blood zombies. However, the horde was huge. Soon, blood dogs and blood zombies rushed near the combat vehicle. At this moment, Zhu Yun clenched his right fist hard. Out of the snow, more than a dozen thorny vines 5 or 6 meters tall and as thick as arms grew from nowhere. Under Zhu Yun's control, they frantically attacked the approaching blood dogs and blood zombies. "This is my skill, killing vines," Zhu Yun explained to me with a smile. I nodded. This thing's area attack effect was quite impressive. In the early apocalypse, it was definitely top tier. With the killing vines protecting them, everyone in front of the combat vehicle fought even harder. Soon, more than half the horde was wiped out. Haha, combat feels great. It'll be hard not to feast tonight. A young man named Sane laughed on the spot. But suddenly, his expression changed. A free claw pierced through his chest. Damn, seeing their teammate's corpse tossed high into the air, everyone was shocked. What came into view was a giant creature shaped like a spider. I recognized this creature at a glance. In my previous life, people named it Spider. It was a creature whose speed and killing power were both one level above night demons. With a tearing sound, its sharp forelimbs ripped the man in two. The spider then ran hard. The already weak wall collapsed on the spot. It swung its forelimbs and stabbed towards several people. I reacted extremely fast. While putting away the sniper rifle, I took the black blade from my spatial ring. With a mid-air slash, I cut off one of its legs. The others did not have such strength. The closest man had his head sliced off by the forelimb. Another person was swatted away and fell into the horde. A group of blood dogs barked wildly and pounced on him, tearing him into pieces in moments. Damn it. Zhu Yun flew into a rage. He split off half the vines to attack the spider, but the spider monster's forelimbs were extremely sharp. In just a few strikes, it cut all the vines apart. Focus on dealing with the horde. I'll handle this thing. As I spoke, I held the black blade and leapt down. I raised my hand and used decisive slash. The spider seemed to sense the power of this move and did not dare take it head-on, dodging to the side. Unfortunately, it was half a beat too slow. In the next second, half its body was annihilated in the terrifying light. Damn, that's insanely strong. Zhu Yun was stunned speechless by me. They naturally knew I was strong, but they did not expect me to be this strong. I could even instantly kill that giant monster. A rainbow card and a silver card. Not bad luck. After putting away the 2 cards, I returned to the combat vehicle. The 5-person team had been wiped out. At this time, only I, Zhu Yun, and Ding Yuan remained in the vehicle. Because we lacked suppressive fire, Zhu Yun's vines alone could not clear that many blood zombies. Seeing the vines about to be torn apart, Ding Yuan suddenly let out a low growl. Her down jacket stretched open. On her smooth skin, many dark green scale-like things suddenly appeared. In just 2.5 minutes, the mature beauty Ding Yuan transformed into a green-skinned half-lizard person. Relying on her hard scales, she forced her way through and carved out a bloody path. I did not expect it to be a transformation-type talent. As I spoke, I put away the black blade, gold cutter, and took out a rifle to help Ding Yuan wipe out the horde. The following battle had almost no suspense. With the 3 of us working together, hundreds of monsters were slaughtered in less than 20 minutes. Ding Yuan, who had returned to human form, sat nearly naked in the snow, panting heavily. She was injured, but fortunately, not seriously. Seeing this, Zhu Yun quickly took off his down jacket and put it on Ding Yuan. I was not stingy either. I casually tossed Zhu Yun a new down jacket card. Go rest in the vehicle. Don't catch a cold. While the 2 of them rested and recovered stamina, I began cleaning the battlefield, collecting card after card. Unfortunately, most were white and green cards. At this moment, Ding Yuan in the vehicle recovered some strength and prepared to get up to collect cards. But Zhu Yun pressed her back down. "You rest here, I'll go." After saying that, he opened the door and got out to search among the corpses. But while Zhu Yun was cleaning the battlefield, more than a dozen figures appeared in the residential complex opposite. Looking carefully, they were all survivors. Many of them were freezing badly, wrapped in bedsheets and blankets. Like walking corpses, they came to the battlefield piled high with bodies. They felt both shock and fear toward King Lang and the others. In their eyes, King Lang's group was undoubtedly like war gods. Otherwise, how could they kill hundreds or thousands of monsters? "Can you give us some food, please? We haven't eaten for a long time. I have children at home." With a rustle, more than a dozen people knelt down. They begged from afar. If they were not truly starving, how would they dare come out to beg? "Get up. I'll give you some." Zhu Yun sighed and took out a small stack of white and green cards, throwing them over. "Thank you. Thank you." The dozen people kowtowed hard, picked up the cards, and supported each other back to the residential complex. He has always been this gentle. Ding Yuan watched the scene outside the window, her eyes full of affection. King Lang silently lit a cigarette and smoked. Zhu Yun could be considered a representative figure of the good aligned side in the apocalypse. When the three returned to the block, it was already dusk. "Young brother, I want to trade for more supplies. I got a card you happen to need." Zhu Yun suddenly spoke. He handed a gold card to King Lang. King Lang looked at it. That gold card was exactly the Yangwei and Yinwei meridians he needed. "What supplies do you want to trade for?" "Medicine, food, and cold weather gear." "Sure. Come to the shelter later to collect them. I'll go back and prepare first." King Lang nodded. This was not an unreasonable request. "Thanks." Zhu Yun handed the card to King Lang, then entered the shop shelter with Ding Yuan. King Lang rode the ghost fire back to the residential shelter. "You're finally back. Damn, you went out for 4 hours. Are you hurt, Chun-Li?" Old Li shouted. Chun-Li immediately raised her hand and cast remote healing. King Lang smiled. "I'm not injured. Old Zhu's side lost 5 people." King Lang told everyone what had happened that afternoon. During this time, Zhu Yun came to collect supplies. King Lang generously gave him the silver card batteries and several sets of cold weather gear. After thanking him repeatedly, Zhu Yun happily left with the cards. They also agreed to call each other when going out hunting. King Lang naturally agreed gladly. Whether Zhu Yun or Ding Yuan, their combat strength was quite outstanding. They were very suitable allies. If possible, absorbing them would be best. Of course, King Lang only thought about this in his heart. For now, he still could not find an opportunity to absorb the two. Inside the RV, it was warm as spring. King Lang quickly took a hot shower, then took out the cards to learn them. As the 8 meridians opened smoothly, Chi Control and Spirit Pull were successfully learned. King Lang clearly felt his overall physical quality undergo a qualitative improvement. King Lang happily opened his skill panel. The gorgeous rainbow talents and skills made his eyes blur. He had never fought such a wealthy battle before. Right, what was that rainbow card from before? King Lang reached into his spatial ring and took out the rainbow card looted from the spider monster. Looking at the explanation on the rainbow card, a trace of unconcealable excitement flashed in his eyes. Chapter 40, Meeting an Old Acquaintance. For the entire following week, the heavy snow showed no sign of stopping. The temperature also reached a terrifying -20 degrees. The snow outside was a full meter deep.